Blog Talk Radio.
Namaste, everyone. Welcome to Nature of Reality Radio on March 16th, 2016. This is your host, Andrew Fisher, broadcasting Wednesdays from the suburbs of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to expose the true and false nature of reality for what it is and what it isn't. On the show today, a healing and paranormal expert of sorts, Daniel Teague, titled the show Using Metaphysical Healing Methods to Make Folks Feel Awesome. And Daniel Teague is a remote energy healer, also known as a distance healer. He helps people, pets, homes, and businesses, can realign frequencies in your body to help with pain, clear out negative energies in your in your home to help clear it out. He is taking on evil and helping families to restore harmony and peace. Some of his specialties include pain healing, chakra balancing, cord cutting, home clearings, and integrated energy therapy. I forgot to include it in the description of the title here, but we will also be talking about a few paranormal things. However, with calls being something that we're going to be taking at the end of the show, hopefully in like the last 45 minutes or so, I'll start taking calls at 7:15 Eastern. If Daniel wants me to do a little earlier, then I'll honor that request. He's going to call in about 4 minutes. But I'll be getting him on probably in about 9 minutes at 6:10 p.m. Eastern, no later, after I do the news. But if anyone wants to call on the show, please, no politics or religion. Daniel likes to stay away from that kind of stuff. No politics or religion. Callers are more than welcome to ask Daniel to have their energy field scanned and or their home or parents, etc. If you call with questions, please your questions metaphysical and paranormal related, please. He said it once, I'll say it again, no politics or religion. I just had a last week's chakra balancing by Daniel. He told me that my third eye and crown chakra were very active. Well, no surprise, I sun gaze a lot. But that everything below that, the throat chakra downward, was out of balance. He did a remote chakra healing on me, and I noticed for the next few days I felt more in tune with nature. And even though daylight savings is not our friend, a lot of people might actually like what happened with daylight savings this past weekend, moving the clocks ahead because we're going to have an extra hour of daylight at night. It's not good for us, folks. It totally screws up with our biological clocks. Farmers absolutely hate it because the animals don't work on daylight savings. The animals go nuts when the farmer tries to go with daylight savings, and all the animals didn't realize that it happened. And it doesn't work too well, so don't let that extra hour of daylight fool you. It's not good for us. It would be great if we didn't have daylight savings at all. But I've actually felt some shifts in timeline recently, some healings and feelings and such that feel abnormal. And I read an article on N5D.com recently talking about a shift in the timeline that happened during we're going to have the spring equinox this weekend, but that total solar eclipse that happened on March 8th and March 9th in some parts of the world. And that signaled some sort of a timeline shift, and I swear to you guys, folks, I felt it, and I feel like a different person. Just a quick astrological reading today before I go to the news. Today, March 16th, Jupiter trine Pluto, first meeting. And this kind of goes hand in hand with what Daniel's going to be doing, healing people. It could amplify the ability to heal. This is a highly fortunate transit, the Jupiter trine Pluto first meeting, for manifesting abundance. Good for manifesting abundance. You have a strong urge to influence others as a leader, both spiritually and professionally. Your organizational abilities are brilliant and allow you to achieve lasting success and wealth. The more faith you have in yourself, the more others will have in you, and the more likely things flow to you, since expectations are that they will. All right, have high hopes, high expectations with these healings, and they will feel great. All right, only one person in the chat room, just a guest who can't speak in the chat because he's just a guest, but I will now do the news, courtesy of Alex Jones and Company at InfoWars. Leftist mob declares war on coal. Liberals buy into the anti-coal movement without really researching the issue. President Obama's war on coal, a resource that provides 35% of America's power, likely won't end when he leaves office in January 2017 because both Democratic presidential candidates are passionately opposed to coal. Well, we have the technology to make coal and oil and natural gas and fossil fuels obsolete, but the powers that be hide that technology from us. And this war on coal, if they go after coal because they say, oh, coal is global warming, which doesn't exist, and climate change, which doesn't exist, and they need to limit it and everything, they're going to take a lot of jobs and screw over a lot of people and everything. So don't buy into the hype. Until we can use that energy that's much more better and a lot less polluting than coal, let's not fall for this scam known as the war on coal, please. Next article. Democratic spring to crush free speech. Authoritarian left attempts to censor all opposing views. Alex Jones is breaking down how the left is making a major move across the board to silence anyone not subscribed to their cult mentality. Okay, democratic spring across free. I don't know if this is related to the democracy spring that's going on. I think it's just referring to the Democratic Party that's they're talking about here, not the actual movement, the Democracy Spring and Democracy Awakening that's going on next month throughout Philadelphia with a march from Philly to D.C. and then some protests outside D.C. The latter one, the Awakening, is going on at the same time as the Free Your Mind Conference, and I want to go to the Free Your Mind Conference. So unfortunately, I can't participate in the 16th or 17th. But if I'm lucky, you guys might see me down in D.C. on the 18th, and I don't approve of the titling Democracy Spring and Democracy Awakening because a democracy is ruled by the majority, and that's tantamount to two wolves and a sheep deciding what's for dinner. You want a republic to give the majority and the minority equal views. But this, I think, is different, and the left is making a major move across the board to silence anyone not subscribing to cult mentality, and you guys can research that on your own. Next article, malware-inflected ads hit New York Times, BBC, and NFL. Attack aims to encrypt users' hard drives, forcing them to pay a Bitcoin ransom. Advertised on sites such as the New York Times, BBC, and The Hill advertisements on those sites were altered to deliver readers ransomware by an unknown group of cyber criminals. Okay, hopefully this isn't some sort of any false flag or anything like that to justify taking away free speech or anything like that, but don't really have time to get into this. And the malware campaign targets some of the web's largest news websites, which reach billions of users collectively. Yeah, a lot of websites here, and so hopefully there aren't too many evil forces behind this hack thing going on. Better not be a false flag. Our next article, top Black Lives Matter activist. We will incite riots everywhere if Trump wins. Trump wins ain't no more rules, famo. A prominent Black Lives Matter activist and rapper, Tefpo, has a message for white people. If Donald Trump wins the presidency, niggas will incite riots everywhere. And he's black, so he can say the N-word like that. I recently encountered a Black Lives Matter group down in Philadelphia at a protest last weekend. 2 weekends ago, where we were just Patriot Movement group protesting what happened to Lil Finnegan in Oregon and all that, and there were Black Lives Matter protesters on the side of the streets calling us white supremacists, and we were trying to tell them, look, you guys don't know what you're talking about. You're confused. We want you to join us, but you don't get it. You're totally confused. Oh, we are. We're not white supremacists, and well, that's a George Soros globalist-funded group, Black Lives Matter. But believe me, there's a lot of good people in that group who are just being brainwashed, and we were trying to tell them that. I was trying to tell them that. Hopefully I won't encounter them again and bad things won't spill if I go down there for another rally. So this guy trying to treat Donald Trump badly and paint him in a bad light like the media is. All right, quickly, I got to do these on the fly. Obama selects Second Amendment foe for Supreme Court, expected to overturn Scalia rulings on Second Amendment if confirmed. Judge Merrick Garland, Obama's pick to replace the late Antonin Scalia, who was assassinated by the New World Order, by the way, has a very liberal view on gun rights, according to Judicial Crisis Network, a group run by a former law clerk for Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. Well, let me just make it clear, if we lose the right to bear arms, then we can lose everything else. Alex Collier, ET contactee, said that in a talk in the mid-'90s that his ETs, who are generally peace-oriented, said we can't lose our right to bear arms or we lose everything. So no surprise that Obama would hire this guy to go against us on the courts. Next article, U.S. House Speaker backs Senate over Obama's Supreme Court nominee. Paul Ryan said he supported Senate Republican leader's decision not to move forward. The U.S. Senate is under no obligation to consider Barack Obama's nomination of Judge Merrick Garland to the U.S. Supreme Court. U.S. House Representative Speaker Paul Ryan, a Republican, said Wednesday. All right. If there wants to be a war out of this, then okay, there can be a war out of it. The Constitution is silent on whether or not Obama would have to wait at the end of his term to do this, or if he can nominate the Supreme Court justice before. There's no reason, law saying he can't. Some people say morally he shouldn't do it, but it's up to Congress to eventually get the nomination in. So let Congress decide. The president's not supposed to be a dictator in this country. But anyway, next article, America's Gestapo, the FBI's reign of terror. This is how freedom falls and how tyrants come to power. Well, we're not going to let that happen, and it's not going to happen because people like Daniel Teague and I spreading love. All right, one last article here, and then I'm going straight to Daniel Teague. Japan on alert after Trump victory. They don't like him calling out their bad trade practices. The controversial businessman, now favored for a Republican nomination, hits Japan regularly in his stump speeches for supposedly unfair trade practices and free riding on a U.S. military protection. Well, okay, I haven't really researched how much Trump talks about Japan or how much Japan hates him and the foreign countries hate him. I know that there's a lot to that, but just like I said about Trump, if he is president, don't be a dictator. He's got to act like what the Constitution says, and that is enact and confirm the laws, act within the laws enacted by Congress, faithfully execute the laws passed by Congress, and Congress has the ability to override the president's vetoes. All right, enough of that. Daniel Teague, I believe this is him. Enough of the politics, I promise. No more of that. No more religion, of course. We're going straight to good stuff now. Daniel Teague, you are on the air. How you doing?
Hey, Andrew. How are you? I'm awesome.
I'm doing great. All right. Do have someone in the chat room here, Gail Hawaii. Don't know if she'll be calling you later on. I do hope some people do call in. I could easily go 2 hours talking to you about all the things that you do, but hey, there's some people that need healing, and they might as well take advantage of the astrological alignment I told at the beginning of the show that could enhance your abilities to do that today, the Jupiter, Trine, Pluto, or whatever it is. But first, until about maybe 7:15, if you insist, I start at 7 because we got a lot of callers, and I'll do it earlier. But 7:15 is when I'll be taking calls for people that want to call in for you. And but first, you sent me an email today talking about how you want to tell about your life stories, and in particular something that you said happened recently. I didn't read any of those talking points you sent to me, so if you want to elaborate on them, go right ahead in regards to your life story, and then after you tell your life story and introduce us to who you are and also how people can find you, then we'll get into all your healing specialties, and then after that, before we take calls, we'll get into the paranormal. So your life story in regards to what you do.
Okay, so I'm going to do the timeline thing.
Okay.
So this whole thing, let me give you a brief intro. I'm from New York originally, Northeast, and growing up, I was a pretty much average child. Kicker is I did see things that I could not explain. I saw faces growing up and that sort of thing in my room that would just appear out of nowhere, usually on a sleep hour. Fast forwarding from there, I'm going to fast forward to 1992. I was in high school, and I was pretty much known as a shy student, didn't have a whole lot of friends, kind of an introvert. I had what I would consider a horrific near-life or near-death experience during a car accident. My physical body didn't perish, but something happened to me. I actually have absolutely no memory of any car accident. To me, it didn't happen. However, damage to myself, paperwork, police reports, all that definitely prove it did happen. I woke up a week after the, quote, accident in a hospital, and I had no memory of why I was there. However, an obvious thing had changed. I had what seemed in an instant gone from an introvert to an extrovert, and I had a total personality change. Nothing bad, all positive, but still very obvious to me. Took about a month to get out of the hospital, and I went through a whole recovery process. And it was about a year later that I started to notice changes about myself in the aspect that I could sense things that I couldn't explain to people. And I didn't know what this was at first. And I had a voice start to talk to me and give me predictions about people I knew on the negative side. And because I had nobody to talk to about this, I would have been labeled as completely nuts if I had talked to anybody. So I dismissed the voice. I didn't want to deal with it. Honestly, what was going on is friends and family that I knew, this voice was telling me exactly when something negative was going to happen to this person. And the scary part is it happened, and it freaked me out. This would be considered a psychic ability, but at the time I dismissed it. I didn't want anything to do with this. I just wanted to live a normal life. Fast forward through my life, I worked in IT for over a dozen years, and I tried to live a normal life. This didn't work. So fast forwarding to about the 2004-2005 time frame, started to go through, things started to bubble up again. And an indicator was, if you've ever heard of the 1111 phenomenon, I was part of this. I started to see the number 11 all over the place. I had no idea why. I thought it was cursed. And at this time, I was rotating around the United States, mainly on the eastern seaboard. And I remember driving, and I mean, you have to understand, I saw the 11s all over the place, on clocks, billboards, addresses, and for a while I tried to cover up all clocks. I didn't want to see the time, nothing. And then one day I'm driving in North Carolina, and a long school bus passes me on my left side, and from bumper to bumper, all miniature ones. And I said, I give up. There's somebody trying to reach me. And I honestly did not believe in any of the paranormal stuff. I mean, I saw the TV shows, but I didn't get it. I was a skeptic. And so I gave in, and I started doing research on the paranormal. And, going forward from there, I had some unfortunate issues that happened to me, and I ended up coming out to Arizona. Still no major psychic phenomenon happened to me, but I did start to engage in the paranormal investigation programs, and it started to catch my attention. So in 2007, I know we're kind of jumping around timelines here, but I'm going to try and fast forward through this. In 2007, I moved to Arizona. Family got me out here, and I was single, and I was meeting people and dating, all that sort of stuff. And I met a woman who asked me to come to her home, and we were hanging out and talking. And this is weird, but the air seemed to come alive and hit me across the back of the head. I know it sounds crazy, and I flew off the couch where I was sitting and prepared for all combat because I had absolutely no idea what happened, and there was nothing there. Nothing. And this kind of freaked me out. And the woman I was with was a little startled as well. This was a spirit. So I'm going to kind of pause there for a second, and I just want to, I'm going to break down real quick what a spirit is, because I feel it's going to follow this little story here. Andrew, if you're okay with this.
Yeah, that's good. By the way, since you just mentioned you're going to tell what a spirit is, I just want to point out some cultures say that soul and spirit are the same thing, but other people, like Akashic Records reader Andrew Bartz, has said the best way to look at it is you can think of spirit as the fuel that fires the soul. Just wanted to ask for the hell of it, do you agree or disagree with that, and then carry on with explaining what you wanted to say.
I disagree. My straight-up example is a spirit is no different than a human, except they've crossed into the next dimension and they can come back and make communication. The kicker is, at the time when this event happened, I didn't know what it was other than it scared the crap out of me and put me into the fight or flight mode. In reality, what had happened was the spirits, some of them have figured out how to use energy and make contact with us. This was just a simple exchange of communication. However, at the time, I had no idea what it was. So I left it at that, and I ended up joining a paranormal investigation group because of this experience. That group has since closed down, but let's just say I joined a group, and with no experience other than my personal experience, we did I was on investigations for probably almost a year before anything happened. I was doing an investigation in Phoenix, and in total darkness, I watched a female, I call it a shadow figure. I mean, but the thing was moving, and I could see features on its face and all that. I could tell it was a woman. I watched a woman walk directly out of a fireplace, walk right past me, and keep on going as if I wasn't even there. Completely awesome experience. When you start to get into this sort of stuff, you cannot have any fear. Fear is the biggest downfall for everything. Fear sets up blocks. It sets up disasters. So this stuff to me there's no fear here. If anything, when something happens, my curiosity factor goes to the roof and I get really excited. This was a turning point for me, telling me that this stuff is real. Now, let's explain shadow people. This story, this has been knocked around for years. So I have a theory what shadow people are. A shadow meaning a black shadow. So if you reflect sunlight, if sunlight reflects off you and you create a shadow, it's no different than that. I mean, it's just going to show an outline of a person, but there's no physical body creating the shadow effect. I just have to wonder I don't know everything. I'm still in a learning process. I knew a lot. That's why I'm on radio talking about my experiences. But I just wonder if take two dimensions and put them side by side. If a person were to walk by you, being in one dimension and they're in another dimension, what if somehow the light was shining through the two dimensions and you're seeing an attribute of a physical body on another dimension? That's a theory I have. So going forward from there, I ended up leaving the the paranormal investigation group because I knew there was something else for me out there. I had a pulling sensation. So just after leaving that group, I ended up taking I got involved in meetup groups, and I got involved in psychic development, which followed with mediumship development. And I found out very quickly I already had developed psychic abilities. There was no names for it at the time because I didn't know what these names were. I could literally look at a person from a distance and tell you everything about the person, attributes of a person, types of things they like, what sort of demeanor they have, if they're a good person or a bad person, that sort of thing. I learned about psychometry, reading objects. So if you pick up an antique, sometimes there's actually a history of something on that object. I found out rapidly, within seconds, if I hold an object, I will literally get a visual description. It's almost like I see a screen of information open up. If there was a memory of a person, I'll see the person. And sometimes it's not that much detail. Sometimes it's just real quick, a couple of descriptive words. But if it resonates with the person that owns the item, then you won. You're accurate. Psychometry goes another direction with me as well. If I look at a photograph of a person, I can tell you about the person. So it's similar to looking at a person in real life and not talking to them. It just gives me information about them. I thought this was profiling, but this is basically reading a person. So going forward from there, I'm going to fast forward to 2010. During the time frame from 2008 with the psychic development stuff to 2010, I had gotten involved with meditation groups. And one of the groups was an energy meditation group. And I don't know how I knew to do this. I just seemed to uncover or discover this ability. So the person, it's basically a guided meditation group. They bring you under, similar to a trance. They read a script, and they bring you under a light trance. And somehow I knew to do a protocol in my mind while I'm under one trance to do a protocol, a step of instructions to get myself into a secondary meditation while under the first meditation. And I learned rapidly about astral projection, astral travel. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. This is essentially traveling with your mind. There's no physical movement of your body. It stays seated wherever you started, but you'll swear you're traveling. And you have to stamp intention to this. Intention is an extremely powerful tool. So I would honestly just say, I want to go to the beach. And I would be propelled to the beach, and next thing I know, I'm on the beach, literally kicking sand around. I mean, it is an amazing experience. It does require energy. When we say energy, etheric energy, in the meditation, I had a guy channeling energy in, and a girl was doing the script reading. And I was able to sense the energy, catalyst it, use it, and put it into my intention, and I propelled forward to the beach. It has had amazing experiences. Andrew, I had written to you about Bigfoot. I'm going to bring him into this right now, if you're cool with this.
Go right ahead.
Okay, cool. So it's not that I met Bigfoot personally, and that's not his real name. That is a name given to by society. obviously because of his size. So I was brought on one of my, quote, astral projection trips to what I would consider some sort of galactic ship. It's just a little bit hard to talk about because I don't know the crowd I'm speaking to, but go with me for this. Essentially, I was brought into a room full of people, and there was a very large male figure in the corner of the room I was in who was actually wearing some sort of space outfit. He had a glass dome over his head. It looked like a breathing apparatus, except the kicker is he wasn't human at all. He looked more ape, gorilla / Chewbacca looking like character. And this could definitely have been some sort of representative of what we consider a Bigfoot community. And he looked at me. Never exchanged any words, but there was an interaction to me that was a greeting. And that's all that happened with that one trip. I'll go into details in a few. I learned how to do this, and essentially with intention, I was able to take multiple jumps or trips using the astral projection protocol. Going forward from there, 2010 comes around, and I had an amazing dream, absolutely mind-boggling dream. I had heard about energy healings, but I didn't know what it was or how to do it. In my dream, it showed me, from a third-person point of view, doing an energy healing on another person, even though at the time I didn't know what it was. I woke up from the dream, and at the time I had already known a Reiki master, and I called her up and I said, I don't know what this is, what do I do? And she says, well, take it and take what you know and come to the Reiki share that she was going to hold in the next week or so and just show what you know how to do. So I did exactly that. Not having a clue of what I saw, I just did the same posture that I saw in the dream, and the person on the table gave me a response, said, you are moving energy. I said, I have no idea what you're talking about, and the Reiki master said, focus, focus, focus. Learn as much as you can, take from other people's techniques, and see what works for me. I said, okay. From 2010 to 2015, I did nothing but train myself on intention and energy work. I learned rapidly because I was getting responses from people. When I say energy work, I'm talking about I would just meet random people out there in life that were complaining about arthritis and pain, and they had hip pain and they had low back pain, and I would just do what I did in my dream to the person. But you have to understand this. There was no hands-on contact at all. There was no voice contact. Everything was quiet. I just did the exact same posture, and I, over time, felt energy, or what I determined as energy, is coming through me, my aura, and I was sending energy to these people. And the only reason I know this is because they were giving me feedback. That's it. And the feedback was the pain is gone. How the heck does that happen? I mean, that's pretty wild stuff. Over time, I was able to train myself to do other sorts of energy healing work in addition to pain healing. And I came up with services for this sort of thing. I originally called it a chakra balance. I've changed the name and I've made it to just an energy field clearing. But is it for a person, an animal, a house, a structure, an area of land, a car, a boat, an aircraft, this sort of thing? So where we're steering this to is negative energy, and there's a whole lot of negative energy out there right now. So where does negative energy, well, this is my opinion based on what I do, and I seem to have proved a lot of this to be true. Negative energy, humans carry negative energy. We have to have it because we wouldn't have emotions if we didn't have it, if you would agree to that. So essentially, when a human being crosses or passes away, the negative energy within the person cannot go to the next dimension. It stays back here with us in our third dimension. Over time, that single negative energy will basically tag along on a frequency level with other human beings or animals. That's how we get it back to our home. It tags onto the frequency. So I tell people, Negative energy by itself is completely harmless. Where it gets interesting is when you start bringing in more and more negative energy. So if you're at work and people are negative, that energy is there and it can tag along, and you bring it home. By doing this so many times over and over and over again, I have essentially come up with a number system, a range, call it. And I can tell, and this leads into the next ability, I can tell remotely how much negative energy is in your energy field for, say, your house. And I'm going to get back to chakra balancing in a second, but for the negative energy, where this is getting really interesting, is my range. So I've determined between 0 and 49 negative energies is pretty much safe. Between 50 and 75 is a concern and probably should be cleared. And anything over 76 can get dangerous real quick. And the more negative energies you have, there's a multiplier effect. It seems to bring it in at a much faster rate, which kind of makes sense. Now, with human beings, we have this thing called chakras within our aura. And the aura is the power center or power field around our anatomy. And there are 7 chakras. They range, from the crown to the root. So you have the crown, the third eye, the throat, the heart, the solar plex, the sacral, and the root. I'm not going to get into the meanings of each chakra because, honestly, I don't believe in it. All I do is identify which chakras are either spinning strong, spinning weak, or have become energy blocked. And why do they become energy blocked? Because of negativity. And when a chakras essentially are going to be regulating and monitoring the energy within your aura and to your system. And what happens when you have a bad back or your back is out, you don't know why it's out, or it was out weeks ago, but it's still giving pain? Honestly, the pain is, to me, a frequency that's awry. It's not, quote, aligned. How do I check from a remote distance about your chakras? So this is a lot of information you're taking in. So I'm going to kind of go slow here. Essentially, when you contact me for work, you are consciously contacting me. You can give any name you want. It doesn't really matter to me. You can provide a fake name, a handle, whatever. It doesn't make a difference. The frequency is contacting me. And I don't know how I do it. I do not know the mechanics behind this, but I talk what resonates to me, and this is how I resonate with you. So you contact me either by phone or email. I do not need to be on the phone with you while I do the actual work. So again, I cannot explain the mechanics behind this stuff. But I consider it the conscious connections. You contacted me. I will send the energy and the intention based on your name or whatever method of contact you have given me. So I will either ride this back over the phone by just a message that I've gotten. So if your name is Andrew, I'll send the message back. I'll send the energy back. Andrew, do you want to comment on the chakra balances? Because I think I gave you an energy healing.
I already did that. I already did that at the beginning of the show during the news segment. Said okay. It seemed to make me more in tune with nature, and I think it was effective. And I felt the timeline shift that we just had during the eclipse a little bit more noticeably. I think that wouldn't have happened if I didn't have the chakra healing by you. So thank you very, very much.
You're welcome. So how does the chakra balance help a person or an animal, your pet, essentially? Well, it works with pain, so it realigns frequencies. It works on the emotional and the mental, but it's going to be unique to you. I can't tell you how it affects you, but it will affect you differently. A lot of people state that they sleep much better after a chakra balance, or what I'm considering now an energy clearing. And going forward from there, it helps with your pets. If you're having if you have odd symptoms, if you wake up and you don't feel right, but you can't figure out why, it might be because of a chakra not spinning correctly. If you have low back pain, chances are the sacral and the root chakra are not spinning correctly. A remote chakra balance can resolve all the pain. I'm not going to say that it's permanent because of the nature of the beast. Negativity is going to affect you again. On the average, this healing seems to stabilize for 2 to 3 months, and then it starts faltering. But 4 times a year, hey, that's not a bad thing. I connect to your home's energy based on where your consciousness is the most. So if you call me or contact me and tell me I have 5 homes and I'm suspecting there's negative energy in one of these homes, typically I'll ask for some sort of target ID. I need to separate, or I need a contrast to separate the homes. But if you just have one home, I don't need your address or anything like that. I literally will just lock my frequency in on your consciousness, what's considered home. And the wild thing is, I get the feedback. How do you know if you have negative energy at home other than the obvious? If you have increased chaotic activity at home amongst your family, your spouse, if you're fighting and arguing, I mean, quarreling is normal, conflict is normal inside of a relationship. It is what it is. The kicker is, what if it's too much? What if it goes ultra-violent? What if it goes physical and it never should have gotten that far? What if it wasn't you that created it? Could it have been something else? Absolutely. Negative energy is a collective. If you're hitting the high 70s and up numbers, yeah, you're going to experience this. And I've actually been able to, in person, detect this. So what does negative energy at high numbers feel like? If you've ever, in your home, in a museum, this can happen. To me, it feels like humidity without the heat. It feels like a heavy, dense sensation. That's what I pick up on. To you, it's going to be an emotional, mental thing, and it's going to drive you batty, crazy. When the energy comes in and clears it all out, that's it. It's done. It's reset to 0, and you will feel a difference. And everything will calm down. I tell people typically it takes about 24 hours to feel total sensation change. So that's about it on the remote stuff for the energy field clearings and the chakra balance. I can talk about a third service that I created. This isn't anything brand new, but I've just reinvented how it's done. If everyone's heard of cord cutting, what are cords? Essentially, if you've met a negative person in your life, negative in the aspect that their character is just not for you. They have an ego problem, they're jealous, they're self-centered. You didn't like them. This can be a person you were in a relationship with. This can be a person you worked with, so a coworker status. It could be basically anybody that you know that you have had some sort of short or long-term personal or business relationship with. So the thing is, the number one sign that you've been courted is that you keep thinking of a certain person that you don't even want to think of, and you're not in contact with them anymore. Or you are in contact with them, but you don't have any reason to think of them, and it keeps popping up, whether it be their face, their name, just their way, their energy signature about them. You don't like it, and you'd like it gone. That's the number one sign of it. If a psychic gives you a reading and says that somebody is blocking you, that's usually an indicator of a cord. You would have to provide their name to me, and just the first name, or the first name, middle initial, last initial type of thing. And I can actually remote scan for the cord. So remote scanning, remote viewing, it's all on the same level. I taught myself how to remote view. I learned about remote viewing through various videos online. And I tried to remote view myself, and it worked. And I have found out you can't really practice remote viewing for it to be accurate. You have to have a live case going on. Something has got to have a real-life emotional thread for this to work, or at least for me. And I found that I can remote view. When we see remote view, honestly, your eyes are closed, and you're going to run through your own protocol and process. You set an identifying target, called a person or a location, and essentially you'll see it with your eyes shut. It'll appear like a visual. And to me, I can push myself into a scene, call it, and just see. I can look left, right, up, and down, and see what's going on. how does this work for me? Well, it didn't work for me for my work. It didn't work so well. So I kind of backed off from my remote viewing and reinvented it for myself, essentially. What I haven't told you yet is I'm an empath, and I people's emotions and feelings from a distance. Now, granted, usually a person would have to walk in front of my line of sight, and they don't even have to be showing off their attitude. But let's say it's an angry male from whatever reason. They travel in front of me. We don't ever talk or make contact, and all of a sudden I become angry, and I don't know why. That's just a symptom of the empath. So some of you already may have these traits. I was able to figure out how to remote view, but not remote view with sight. I was able to send my empath. I actually separated it as another identity and send it somewhere. And here's a scary story. I was at a conference several years ago, and I found out about this place called Dulce, New Mexico. And there's a lot of horrible rumors about Dulce, New Mexico, which I don't even want to go into details. Let's just say I was skeptical about what I'd heard, and I wanted to send my remote empath down because I really didn't want to see anything if something was going on. So I sent the remote empath down, and to me, I got a very rapid reaction. And this is about sensations that I felt, and we're talking illness feeling. I got nauseated right away. I was picking up on smells of blood. I've done interesting positions in my life, and I've been around dead bodies, and I worked in EMS type of work, and being around bodies is nothing new to me. But after the fact, finding out that I needed to build those skills years and years ago for today. So I honestly picked up on a lot of death. Now, I didn't see anything, and I sure as heck can't prove that who did what, but I was picking up on, my sensory was going overloading on torture. So there was a lot of something going on in that, based on that intention. And I left it at that because honestly it made me too ill, and I've never even bothered to care about going back to it. But I wanted to do something more that could definitely affect what I do. So I was able to develop remote scanning. Remote scanning, I actually use a pendulum to get information back. And a pendulum can be anything, a rock on a string. It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't have to be a crystal. I started to train with a pendulum in 2008, and I haven't stopped. So it's been almost 8 years. And it's no longer training. It's part of what I do. And I get statistics back. I ask for information, I get true and false, and I get numbers. This is where all this scale of numbers comes in. And it works great for me because I don't have to sense or feel anything. It's strictly just feedback, almost on a data label. I consider myself a very technical healer. I don't do a lot of the fluffy stuff. There's a lot of energy healers out there, a lot of psychic healings. They do things much different than I do it. I don't do BS. I just do cut and dry. This is what it is, and this is what I can provide, and I like to deliver results. So so let's talk about the cord cutting again. So I can scan the name, and if a cord is actually current, I can determine that it's there. I can cut the cord, and I use intention to cut the cord. You have to learn how to use intention, and you have to try it out, and you have to think, how can I use this in multiple ways, and then prove that it's working. That's really up to you, but try. Everything you can possibly think of, get on the internet and try it, see what the psychics are doing, and you try it. See what works. So that basically wraps up the energy healing stuff. There was a fourth healing that I learned how to do, and this was professionally given to me, training, and it's called integrated energy therapy, and it works with emotional blocks. And if people have had emotional trauma in their past, and there's a lot of you out there, you know who you are, essentially I was trained how to release the blocks. The blocks manifest from the memories in your aura, and they'll essentially create havoc. The blocks are etheric, but they will seem physical. How do you know if you're a candidate for this, for IET? You're a candidate if you're a medical mystery. You're a candidate if you have chronic pain. You're a candidate if you have ongoing bowel and stomach issues, belly issues, that digestion problems, that medical services are unable to give you any answers about. You're not getting any relief. You may be a candidate if you want to pursue IET. Essentially, I was trained in this method, and they only gave me so much training. I had to add a lot of my own personal things to this sort of method, and I came up with a mantra that works wonders. And I scaled down what could be weeks and weeks of ongoing IET healings to a person. I scaled it down to 3 days, back to back, with a mantra, and it works wonders. And everything's energy-based. There's no phone contact. It's all silent, and the feedback speaks for itself. Okay. So, Andrew, that's kind of like where I'm at.
You explained it wonderfully, and since we got half an hour left before we start taking calls, there's 4 people in the queue. I presume they'll all be staying here when we start taking calls. If the list gets longer, I can take them earlier. But getting back to Bigfoot for a moment, it is
Sure.
There's theories on Bigfoot. I mean, you got your own, of course, and but some other people, like John Lear, I interviewed him. He talked about how some guy told him how Bigfoot, there's a species of Bigfoot on Mars, but that's just one species that has been brought to Earth, he claims. And also it's been said by like Andrew Bartzis at Akashic Records that I mentioned earlier that higher dimensional or density entities temporarily incarnate into Bigfoot to wake humanity up to the fact that paranormal things are not abnormal. They're very real, and a giant ape-like creature is something that humans can relate to in nature, in the woods, I guess. So do you subscribe or not subscribe to that idea?
I agree. I'm going to add to it right now. So I've never met Bigfoot in the woods, but I have these abilities. It's hard to talk about. I mean, the psychic abilities have exploded. And I developed, I don't consider myself a medium, but I've definitely got mediumship abilities. And so I don't do readings that typically you would see like a card reader, or if you went to a person for a mediumship reading. I don't do anything like that. These things I keep reserved for private reasons. They go active from time to time. And I developed, if you're familiar with guides as in guidance, a lot of people have spirit guides. I have galactic guides. I am more on a galactic level. When I say galactic, I mean not from this planet. And I don't want to go into detail about that, but let's just say I have a group of people that have contacted me and they give me information, mostly about my self-development, and it works fine. And it's not quite like being on the telephone with somebody, but you do hear a voice and the accents change. I can't prove where they are based on what they tell me, but as long as it's positive information, I take it in. And so I have asked about Bigfoot, or what we resonate with, what is considered Bigfoot. And so here are the facts that I've found out. It's real. It is a hybrid. It's a human, and it's an animal hybrid together, is what we consider an ape man. And they do not speak English. They speak their own language. They are found mainly in high elevation. A lot of them reside on Indian reservations, so they're sheltered from the public. And this might sound a little goofy, but then I guess it's the right show for it. I am told they are the scientists of Earth. They are keeping things or working on things on their own level, and they don't want anything to do with human beings. But us human beings are ridiculous and have to see everything. And unfortunately, you have a huge problem right now that everybody on the planet is trying to find these things and get it on camera. They don't want to be on camera. They want to be left alone. They do have the ability to defend themselves, but on a very almost aboriginal level. So, it explains the rock throwing. And, they would rather be left alone. But human nature, it's a mess. They do not travel by themselves. They travel in packs, in tribes. And I don't know, I just like to relate to people saying back off. If you were sent on assignment into a foreign place and you knew it was hostile waters, you wouldn't want to tempt anything. But people need to kind of back off and take this as a warning, because it's being recognized. So that's what I have on the Bigfoot thing.
Okay, moving on to something else that's paranormal. Ghosts. So what are ghosts? Well, it's generally thought that they're some in another dimension, and when you see a ghost, that's their frequency, their dimension temporarily intermingling with the frequency of our dimension so you can see it. And why did a ghost become a ghost? Well, some would argue as to whether or not the state a ghost is in a state of limbo. Maybe limbo is or is not the best term to describe what a ghost is in, but unfinished business. Ghosts have unfinished business, and that's why they haven't crossed over entirely. That's a theory. And Jim Mars gave a presentation at a secret space conference last year about a Roswell ghost, the ghost of one of the ETs that crashed at Roswell, and he talked about how some ghost hunter character with a device that could measure the frequency of some energy, where some psychic medium was pointing to an area in a hospital. The guy was right near a bookcase or something, and the guy was waving the wand on his ghost detection device, and when he waved it, for a brief moment, like the width of a human body or something, where he moved it, where the psychic medium said that the ghost was, the device started beeping like a Geiger counter going nuts when it detected radiation, and then when he moved it away from where the ghost body was, it went down, and didn't make as much of a frequency beeping as it did. And I was like, whoa, if there's not a ghost here, then bite my ass. It was one of those moments, and they think, okay, there's definitely something to this, and okay, I think there's definitely something to ghosts. Anybody who goes to the Colosseum in Rome, a lot of people would tell you, I can hear people moaning and groaning and see ghosts of the gladiators that died there. That's another hot spot for ghost activity, the Colosseum in Rome. So your theories on ghosts?
All right. This is going to stray from what you just said, but I think the whole ghost word should be tossed. I don't think it's an accurate word. I mean, if you look up on the internet, ghost means rising of the dead, but that doesn't make any sense to me. Doing what I do, so I've already told you what a spirit is, a human person that's crossed over can come back for contact. Shadow people, orbs, apparitions, I don't know what category to put it under. I don't believe in the whole ghost word. I think that's a Hollywood terminology. I can relate on this negative energy. When you hit the high numbers of negative energy, and we're talking hundreds, if not thousands, and it does exist. I've gone ahead and remote scanned Civil War locations where hundreds, if not thousands, of people have crossed, and it has high levels of negative energy. My belief is that a lot of the stuff that you just described is because of negative energy. Negative energy in the high dangerous levels, in my honest opinion, can open up portals or start a portal. It seems to be the fuel for apparitions. And I can't tell you where the shadow people and the apparitions are actually coming from, but it seems that an attribute is a high negative energy level area is setting up some sort of fuel system to bring this stuff forward. And, I mean, the problem is also on the human side. If your chakras aren't fully cleared, aligned, and balanced, you're not going to be sensitive to pick up on this stuff. You may have other things going on, that I described before with high energy, high negative energy, but you may or may not see this stuff. And the camera, I don't know. I'm skeptical about a lot of things that are caught on camera I think are fake, because the stuff that I've actually seen with my eyes is more of a third eye overlay. Sometimes it's not, because other people have witnessed stuff and they say that they're not psychic and they're not metaphysical, but I tend to differ. if we see things so readily clear, how come the camera doesn't see anything? Nothing. And I've used the EMF gauges, and I don't know, I'm skeptical on it. I don't really get into that anymore. I just go with what I know how to do. If somebody reports odd things going on, I will remote scan, but, again, with the numbers, I can remote scan for spirits, angels, extraterrestrials, and negative energy. I don't scan for ghosts because I believe the whole thing is coming from negative energy. And the interesting part is when I do the clearing, all of this disappears. The spirits, angels, and ETs can definitely hang around because those are actually real entities, real people. But it's the other stuff. It all goes away. And I'm not going to say it goes away permanently, but it can go away for a very long time. The negative energy seems to take it can take years to collect. Years, but if you work in a hostile environment, it can take a lot shorter amount of time to collect. But when you want to bring up ghosts, I get itchy about that word. I just don't believe it. But like I said, I only go based on personal experience and the results. So when you hear doors rattling or swinging, or you see them swing open on their own, I've actually seen this firsthand in my own house. I've seen the doors open on their own, which I think is awesome. I've had remote controls thrown at me. Another awesome. I don't get scared by this stuff at all. To me, it's just a spirit trying to make contact. And when you do, you find out amazing information. Now, I can't say that anybody can just contact them. You'd have to get trained in this sort of thing. But if you can dump the fear and bring in the curiosity, it's a lot easier than you think. And when I have contacted people, when a person's contacted me and told me they've had odd things going on, and I do my remote scan, I find out there's two spirits there. All right, let's find out who it is. I don't always get names, but I usually get descriptions of a person, so I can tell if it's an older male, a younger female, things that describe a person and how they're related to that person who contacted me. Typically, it's going to be family that have crossed over, or very close friends that have crossed over. And every single time, it's the same thing. They're trying to warn the person that lives there about an up-and-coming health issue. That's it. It's not scary. Once you understand how this stuff works, absolutely not scary at all. It's so informative. It's crazy. And you can pre-warn the person that's alive in the third dimension and say, hey, go get this checked out. If anything, you just had it checked out, no big deal. No harm done. Most of the time, people are actually already aware of the problems that I've just identified and the spirit was identifying, but they're not acting on it. They're not getting it taken care of. And it's just a heads up. That's it. Another thing I do want to mention, dogs. My dog is extremely paranormal sensitive. Paranormal in the sense that he can tell me when something's in the room and I can't see it and I haven't detected it yet. They don't just have a heightened sense. I mean, this is like extreme. So if your dog, cat, or pet is just acting strange, be aware. It may be just picking up I can't tell you that they actually see the other entity, but they're picking up on the energy shift in the room. And you may not be aware of it, and that's just life. But if your animal starts acting funny, be aware. You may not be alone. And it's an invisible person. I mean, put yourself in the shoes. Let's say this. You've crossed over. Here's your example. Motorcycle accident, you're killed. You cross over, but for some reason you know how to get to the home that you grew up in. And you have family that lives there still. If you can't speak with English or any type of verbal, and nobody's going to hear you, how would you communicate? Well, the easiest example is you're going to rattle those doors. You're going to swing those doors open. You are going to knock. You'll make weird things happen in the house. Yeah, you're going to scare the crap out of everybody that lives there. But you know what? You've made contact. And if, it's more, I think people are becoming more awake to this now, that there might be something more going on than just their nerves and the animals freaking out. They may actually make contact back, and then you'll have communication and find out what the heck is going on. So that's my, in a nutshell, example of, Did I explain myself okay?
Yeah, yes, you did, and I've had similar experiences regarding my metaphysical chips that I use to prevent negative energies from coming from my appliances and my phones. They disappeared, and called the guy who sold them to me, and his wife got on the phone with me because she tries to contact the paranormal during her spiritual work in her free time, and she claimed that my paternal grandfather, who passed away 16 years ago, was communicating with her to tell her that my spirit guides and guardian angels were taking it to get my attention, basically saying, hey, you don't need these chips to protect you. We're protecting you in their place, so don't waste your money on this kind of thing. And that was a very nice way of them doing that. So I'm kind of familiar with what you're referring to, saying that things like that may happen in your home and you shouldn't get scared by them, because very often it's galactic guides, spirit guides, whatever you want to call them. But still got a little bit of time before we take calls. I want to talk about something that you mentioned on your list here, psychometry, which according to Wikipedia, also known as token object reading, or psychoscopy, is a form of extrasensory perception characterized by the claimed ability to make relevant associations from an object of unknown history by making physical contact with that object. Okay, what does that mean in American? Could you enlighten us on?
Sure, I'll elaborate. So like I was saying earlier, so when I was in the psychic training classes back in 2008-ish, one of the workshops we did was psychometry, and people brought in all these antiques, and I got given a spoon. I was like, okay. Now, I had a little bit of a hint of where this was going because the spoon was marked U.S., and I knew back in the day in the military, this was a military-grade issued spoon. And I did not, this is one of my first experiences with it, but it's really awesome. So I picked up the spoon, and you want to use your dominant hand for this. Close your eyes, and within 30 seconds, you'll know if there's information. And if it's going longer than that, then drop it and pick up something else. So what happened to me is probably within about a second, literally a second, I was getting shown information about a person. I literally had my eyes shut, and I saw a man that was probably 5'10". He was in Army fatigues. He was in fatigues, but it was like World War II type fatigue. I could tell he was combat. I saw his garb. His plain Jane clothing. It was just obvious he had some sort of military on him, and it spoke to me. It was really quick. It's just it's almost like a couple of descriptions. You may either get it in a word or you'll see it. I saw it, and they had the people that brought these antiques in write down the information beforehand. And so when I gave my information, it matched. I was off on the war. It was like World War I, and I said World War II, but the information was proven accurate. And that's all psychometry is. It's really quick information, but it can be beneficial. And, people use this in crimes. If you want to work with the detectives and the police departments, if they allow you to touch this stuff, you can do that. It's an effective tool. It's just an attribute. It's something that helps, work on an investigation level. I picked up, somebody brought in a feather, I think. And what I will say is metal seems to hold the most memory or be able to transfer the easiest, but to be honest, all this stuff has memories. I picked up a feather, and literally I saw a woman with the feather that was part of a purse, and the purse was put on a table, and another person came in and took the purse and left. So it was actually part of a crime that never got solved. But when I reported back about what I found, they said they didn't know, they couldn't confirm the history. So when you want to read this stuff, the only way to find out if you're accurate is make sure the person has history on the object, or else you're going to be left kind of with your arms shrugging. You don't know what to do with it. But you've got a few more minutes, and I actually wanted to get into that story that I wanted to share that I emailed you about. That's kind of sinister, but it's leading into things.
Go ahead.
You want me to go there?
Go ahead.
It's okay? All right. So this is a little controversial because there's a lot of activity right now on the Internet buzzing about this sort of thing. People going missing in parks and on mountain trails. I had a very personal, scary experience not that long ago this year on a trail that's around the corner from where I live. And I don't know why it happened to me, but it happened. So I walk on a trail almost every day, no big deal. And one day, a few months ago, I'm on the trail, and something catches my attention, but it's an audio tone. It wasn't anything I saw. I heard it. And I happened to be standing next to, it's just an area. I'm in Arizona, so, I mean, if we're talking about desert and, you know, it's a dry bed area. I mean, the mountain is a mountain, but it's not like Colorado or anything like that. And essentially this frequency caught my attention, and I didn't like it because it made me feel very uncomfortable. And I got awake, and I left, and I came back the next day, and the noise is still there. And I'm like, what the heck is this? Then another thing happened. And this isn't while I'm walking. I'm stationary. And I heard the noise, and it was a very low rumbling frequency. And on top of that, my ears started to pop. And I get a little weird. Why am I having barometric pressure changes? And I'm not moving. I'm on the ground. I'm not in an airplane, but it's the exact same sensation. Going farther than that, I noticed that there seemed to be some natural barricades blocking a section of the trail. I mean, I could see beyond the barricade, but and then when we say natural barricade, it's down trees. Somebody cut trees and put them down. So they're obviously blocking, stay out. There were signs posted all over the trail saying keep out of this area, but there's nothing to indicate for what reason other than maybe, you know, animals go to drink in the area. But no, I didn't see any type of body of water there either. This gets a little crazy. So the same. I mean, this is what I saw, and I couldn't put my finger on it. The next day I come back, everything is the same. The noise, the pressure, it doesn't feel good. That's what you have to understand. This stuff is hard to talk about and describe. It's just a nauseating sensation without the nausea. And I said, this cannot be good. What is going on here? And then I noticed something that absolutely blew my mind. And I assume this is third eye. I mean, there's no way to capture this on camera. There's no other way to tell a person about this. If a land area were to have an aura, so a power field, I could see movement above and within the trees and just behind this area, this barricade area. I didn't know what it was, but it was moving. And to me, I asked myself, I wonder if this is a portal. This has got to be a portal. That I didn't see anything enter or exit. It was just present, almost in a standby mode. So I said, interesting. Well, maybe I'll tell somebody about this. So I start walking back to my car, and this is where I had a very scary incident. So I'm walking back a small trail. I mean, it's open. I don't have trees on both sides. But down the path, probably about 50 yards, I see a male walking at me, which is nothing new. But the problem is this guy looked strange. This is where it gets really weird. This guy looked like he was straight out of a Mad Max movie. Very sinister looking, very menacing looking. He was not dressed appropriate to be on a trail, a hiking trail. He had tall black boots, strange looking clothing, and as I approached him, my internal alert system went completely nuts. I have a built-in security system with my solar plex. It starts churning and making me feel icky when I'm approaching something that I shouldn't be going anywhere near. Well, unfortunately, he was in my path, and it was starting to pick up a ramping feeling. And as he approached me, and I had no intention of making contact with him, I noticed two things that I didn't like. He had yellow skin and red eyes, and I was like, we got a problem here. As I passed him, my indicators completely went crazy, and my fight or flight went bananas, which shouldn't have, but it did. And I started to pick up the pace. And typically, I'm not afraid of almost anything these days, but this thing irked me to the point I needed to leave. And he turned around and starts following me. Now, I don't know his business. I mean, we passed each other, and it was a freaky sensation. I made it out to the end of the trail. I got back to my car. He popped out, looked at me, and turned and left, and I never saw him again. Somehow, that guy is related to the portal or energy area that I discovered. I went home. I remote scanned that park area, and I found over 750 negative energies. That's a problem right there. I did a little more investigation work. I contacted the park office, and they told me and admitted to me that in the early 1900s, that area that I was identifying was a TB camp, a tuberculosis camp, where anyone, I mean, you're talking hundreds if not thousands of people could have died. I was able to remote clear that entire area. I never saw that guy again. At the same time that all the energy that I had been feeling in that one area disappeared. The energy movement stopped. Anything that I felt along the trail hiking, negative, the frequency, everything, all the audio tones, everything disappeared. And I just feel that I cleared that area, and that was it. And it's been like that ever since. So I have a strange suspicion that people that obviously have no abilities are wandering into these, quote, energy areas in the parks, and something not so friendly is happening, and they're disappearing. I have absolutely no idea where they're going, and most of them are not alive and they are recovered. But I have a sneaky suspicion that's related, or it's an attribute to something that's a bigger, sinister act that's going on. And that's it.
Yes, kind of reminds me of an area on near where I live. I haven't encountered or know anybody that's heard well known of any paranormal stuff going on there, but a train crash many years ago at the early 20th century killed a lot of people when two trains collided, and that area is a trail now, but they stuck a rail in the ground to show this is like basically the site of the accident. And there are people that back in the day who said they walked by there, they thought they could hear ghosts and such and whatnot. But maybe I'll stop by there sometime and see if I can meditate and contact anything. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe you might want to consider checking that place if you're ever bored and looking for a place to consider looking up to clear or whatever. So, all right, we'll start taking calls now. First come, first serve here. I have 5 people in the queue. First up, area code 443. You are on the air. What's your name? Where are you from? What's your question?
Hi, this is Kathy from Maryland, and my question is, I have had a lot of back surgeries and all kinds of surgeries, and I was wondering if you could heal me.
Well, I'm not
osteoarthritis, too.
Well, I'm not going to be doing healings. I'm doing scannings only just to give people an idea of what's going on. I mean, I'll scan chakras today, but I'm not, quote, doing healings today.
Okay.
So if you want to know your chakra status, and what was your first name again?
Kathy.
Kathy. All right, Kathy, I'll scan your chakras. So again, the 3 indicators I look for are spinning strong, weak, and energy blocked. So Kathy, your crown is spinning, and it is strong. Your third eye is spinning, and I'm sorry, it's not spinning. It's energy blocked. Your throat chakra is energy blocked. Your heart chakra is energy blocked. Your solar plex is spinning, strong. Your sacral is energy blocked, and your root chakra is also energy blocked. That can explain a lot of the pain and potentially issues with healing.
Okay.
Did you have any other questions?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, well, I recommend if you want. Andrew, I don't know if we've told people how they can reach me. I do have a website. It's vegastarhealings.com. There's an S on the end. I know that it should be posted on the
It is.
On the broadcast show.
It is on the bio, the video description.
Yep, today is just strictly about finding out some quick facts about yourself and going from there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I had all but 2 of my chakras blocked, and I'm very spiritual, so don't feel bad or feel shocked or anything. All right, take care now. Call in any time.
Thank you.
Later.
So I've got another story. I mean, I don't know if you want to take calls right away. I've got a few stories to share.
We might as well finish them off, and then whatever time we have left, we'll keep going until someone else calls in. Okay. Next up on the board, we have area code 806, not 860. You're next after that. No, actually, you're two after that. 806, you are on the air. What's your name? Where you're from? What's your question?
I'm Sherry in Texas, and wanted to see if you could do a quick scan, see if my empath is reporting correctly that someone is corded or blocking my chakras, or however you see it.
Are you looking for a negativity home scan? Are you looking for a chakra scan? Or
it's
both?
on me. It's something on me. And it could be attached to the home, but I'm feeling like if I could clear myself.
Let's knock this out. All right, so Sherry, let's just check your chakras real quick. Your crown is energy blocked. Your third eye is energy blocked. Your throat chakra is spinning and strong. Your heart chakra is strong. Your solar plex is strong. Your sacral is strong. And your root is strong. Let's check your, do you have more than one house?
Just this one I'm in.
Okay. I'm going to run a negative energy check that does exist. FYI, this is very common. Most homes do have negative energy. They're just very low, so they're harmless. But let's check it out. Is there at least 10 negative energies? Yes. 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. No. 50. 52, 54, 56, 55, 54. You have 54 negative energies. You're in that range that there is something going on, and it just depends on how you feel if you wanted to have that all cleared out. For the heck of it, do you suspect anybody potentially courting you?
Yes, I think it's snuck up on me.
Give me a couple of names, just first names, no last names. We don't want to ID anybody on the radio.
Jennifer.
Give me a first name.
Jennifer. Or Millie.
Hang on a second. All right, Jennifer and Millions. Well, let me just check those two. Is there a cord with Jennifer and Sherry? There is. Is there a cord with Millie? Negative. No cord.
Okay. How about
anybody else you want to check?
Just Ceci.
I'm sorry, say again?
Ceci.
Ceci?
Sessy.
Andrew, can you relay what she's saying? It's a little broken.
Sessy.
Oh, actually, are you saying S is in Sam or F is in Frank?
All S's.
Okay.
So that's Sam as in S is in, okay. So, okay, I'm just going to run it based on that frequency. Is there a chord? Yes. Okay. Yeah. So you got some entities courting you, and you do have negative energy in the home. If this is something you want to take up on a business level, I recommend you check out my website and contact me accordingly.
Okay, I'm here right now.
All right.
Which one am I getting? Which one am I needing?
Well, you would probably go with you're going to want to check out the parasite cord cutting and the remote home clearing. But that can be taken on an email level. So just contact me on email and we'll go from there.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much for calling in. Call in any time. Take care now.
All right.
Namaste. All right. Let me cross off as we go along. Okay. Next up is my good friend, psychic Sean Cohen. Told her she was fourth up, and now she's third up because someone hung up. So,
hi, Andrew.
How you doing? Took a while for the spinning thing to stop spinning there to put you on. So you are on now. You told me about your problem, but it's not really a healing he can do here. He has to do some sort of a reading, but that could certainly help. I can't see how it can't help. So by all means, Daniel, knock yourself out.
Thank you. Hi, Daniel.
And what's your first name again?
Sean.
Okay, what are we looking for? What can I help with today?
I've had some chronic illness for quite a long time now. I've been working on it. It just seems it doesn't really get better.
Let me do a quick scan of your chakras. So, Sean, crown chakra spinning, not strong, not weak, somewhere in the middle. Third eye is spinning strong. Throat chakra is strong. Heart chakra is strong. Solar plex is blocked. sacral is blocked. Root chakra is blocked. So you've got some stuff going on. I wish I had a scan for the energy blocks, but they didn't teach us anything like that. So let me ask you that: have you had emotional trauma in your life?
Plenty.
Plenty. Okay. And we're talking, when I say emotional trauma, I didn't go into that much detail earlier, but we're talking of really bad stuff like childhood disasters, bad upbringing, sexual crimes, assault, that sort of stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You might want to check out on my website, Integrated Energy Therapy, and go from there type of thing. You could be a candidate for it, but chakra balancing could definitely get you started as well. Did you need a home scan today?
That would be interesting, considering what I do for a living. Yes, please.
Okay.
If you can spare them time to do it. Thank you.
Do we have more than one home, or just one typical?
No, one home.
Okay, Sean, let's check your home's energy. Does negative energy exist? Yes, it does. Is there at least 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 50, 51, 2, 53. I'm counting 52 negative energies. So, again, you're kind of on the low side, but still within the range of potential problems. So that would be a judgment call on what you want to do with that sort of thing. Can I ask, what do you do? What line of work?
Well, Daniel, I'm a psychic medium. I have been for 35 years. I have a degree in metaphysics, and I've been doing lots of radio shows, and I gave Andrew his big break and told him to get on the radio as a psychic.
Got it.
Now you see what's happened to him.
Understood. Right.
So,
understood.
I mean, when we work with this energy, it happens a lot. It's not an uncommon thing. And most people who have had traumatic childhoods or very difficult upbringings are highly gifted people, and they need that in a way to go on and become who they are in this lifetime. So, I always say that people who have been abused can turn that around and help other people, which is what I've done with my life. But I think what you're picking up is not that. I think you're picking up something. When I had my daughter, I had some trauma in the birth. So that's just what I'm feeling from that. Because I've already done a lot of work on those other issues.
Groovy.
So just saying that, right? Okay, but thank you very much for the. I didn't hear what you said about my crown chakra. Is something in the middle there, you said? Oh
no, you were spinning, not quite strong, but not weak either. So it was kind of in the middle.
Oh, I see. Okay. Thanks very much, Daniel.
You're welcome.
All the best to you. Bye now.
Thank you, Sean.
Bye.
Love it when you're in my audience. Take care now.
You're the best, Andrew.
I'll talk to you in the chat as we go along. Take care now.
Okay, thanks.
Bye. All right, next up on the list, area code 860. Told you I'd get you up in two turns. Area code 860. You are on the air. What's your name? Where you're from? What's your question?
Yeah, I have a question. I have been very intrigued by Daniel Teague's talk today, and I'm actually calling for my husband, on my husband's behalf. And Daniel, he has a problem which has been going on for a long time now, nearly a year. He has this feeling of energy being pulled out of his body, right from his leg upwards and out of his neck and head, and he gets his headache, and it is sometimes very bad or worse during the night, and it is continuous throughout the day. So could you scan him? And he would like to contact you. So how about today? We live in the East Coast, so we are 3 hours ahead of you. So could he contact you, say, around 8 o'clock of your time?
Well, let's do this. What is his first name?
His first name is Raj for short. Or should I say the whole name?
No. That's fine, because it's all connected to your consciousness. Let me scan his chakras just for kicks and see what's going on.
Okay.
So show me Raj's crown chakra. It's spinning and strong. The third eye is spinning and strong. The throat chakra is strong. The heart chakra is not strong. It's energy blocked. The solar plex is energy blocked. The sacral is blocked, and the root is blocked. So 4 chakras are not spinning correctly at all. My recommendation. you said that his energy feels like it's being pulled out of him?
Yes, pulled out of him.
You're describing what could be a cord or multiple cords from multiple people. Do you know if he has common contact or has had relationships with people that are not very good people?
Yeah, like you could have could say that, like he was he works in a store, so he comes in contact with many people, and if when he talks to you, he might relate much further in detail. So, and he's in a job that he doesn't like, and he doesn't like his employer. So
what I'd like you to do for him or have him do, I would like you to get on my website at vegasstarhealings.com and send me a message and just give me the best time to call, best number, and all that sort of stuff. And probably not going to happen right away today, but this week we can set that up. But I recommend you check the website out.
Yeah, can we give you a call, like tomorrow or so? Can we give you a call? And
sure, just use the appropriate phone number that's on the website.
I've got the phone number. I've seen your website, yes, and got your phone number. So if we call you, do we have to leave a message, or like you have given the time as 10 in the morning to 10 in the evening? So like you will be at your whatever workplace you are, and you will pick up the phone, or do we have to leave a message?
Because I work international, I need you to just give me your time zone, your name, your phone number, that sort of thing. Best time to call back.
Okay. And so you see that it could be something to do with cords and his blockages in his chakras?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, there's a lot of negativity blocking the energy from moving in the chakras, and parasite cords are probably in play as well. But would like to take that up on a personal level off the air with you.
Yeah, because he's in a very, very bad shape. He has mental fog, and also I saw, and when I heard your program, and then I was also looking through their website, and I said, I feel like we have got the right person. So it's great talking to you, and we'll be contacting you shortly.
All right, thank you.
His name is Raj, so if you get an email or a call saying Raj, I hope you will remember.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.
All right. Daniel, before I get the last caller on, no, actually there's one more after that who just called in. Quick question. Since you mentioned you need a time zone, I also actually need a little bit of time zone instruction here, because I'm actually going to Arizona this upcoming weekend. And I need to know, did you guys ignore daylight savings this past weekend? I hear Arizona does that.
They don't change it. Yeah, Arizona is the weirdest state. It doesn't change. It's 4:27 p.m. here, approximately.
All right, so you go by Pacific time. Is that true for all of Arizona?
All of Arizona, but it's only when we spring forward here. So I'm only on Pacific time, and then it switches, and then it goes back an hour difference from the West Coast.
Okay. All right, so one more caller here. No, two more callers. So area code 808, you are on the air. What's your name, where you're from? What's your question?
Hi, this is Gail from Hawaii. A scan would be great, a chakra scan, and then maybe just a house scan. I'm just going through a lot of issues right now.
Okay, tell me your first name a little slower. It broke up.
Gail.
Andrew, is she saying Gail, or the G as in George?
Gail. I think this is Gail Hawaii in the chat room, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start with your chakras. So let's go with Gail's crown chakra. Spinning strong. Third eye is strong. Throat chakra is strong. Heart chakra is strong. Solar plexus, energy blocked. Sacral is blocked. And root chakra is also blocked. Okay, so you have three chakras that are not performing. You said you wanted to do a home scan?
Yeah.
Okay, so Gail's home. Do you have more than one home?
Yeah, that's one home.
You do?
Yes.
Okay, how many homes do we have?
No, I just have one.
Oh, you only have one home. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll do, your main level of consciousness for this house. Is there negative energy? Yes, it does exist. Is it 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. You're in a danger area already. 110, 120, 130, 120, 122, 24, 26, 24. 124 negative energies. Is there a lot of problems going on at home?
Well, my boyfriend just recently passed away. We were together 16 years, but I kind of live in a bad neighborhood. So I'm like on the corner, like a lot of, I live in a lot of close next to neighbors and stuff, and it's just not the best neighborhood. So maybe like that's where all the energy's coming around too.
Well, it's getting into your home. I mean, what's going on with you personally? Are you picking up on sort of things that shouldn't be happening?
No, well, before my boyfriend passed on, he had a couple of people over our house, like the neighbors, and they weren't very good people, like to hang around and stuff. But no one's been over my house since he passed away a couple of months ago. I just have my girlfriend staying with me right now, and just me and my pets right now. But yeah, there's a lot of negative like neighbors, and I live close by a lot of people in an area. You know what I'm saying?
I understand. And it's not going to get any better. Like I said earlier, the more numbers you have, the higher numbers, it just starts doubling up really quickly, and then it leads to other things. So if you were to bring in a sensitive person, they probably wouldn't last very long at your house. I mean, I tell people that I get sick if I get anywhere near the 250 and up range. I will literally collapse and have to leave. You're at 124. You're not in a safe area at all. I mean, you're way beyond the 50 to 75. It's up to you. If this is something you want to pursue, you'll feel totally different, night and day difference in 24 hours. But I also recommend
a home
clearing. That would be a home clearing.
And then should I go ahead and sage my house? Like go ahead and sage it too, that house?
Well, I've actually checked on sage, and sage isn't that effective. It is effective initially because it smells good, and I have done testing with sage when people have reported issues, and honestly, it only seems to make a 5% difference. And the problem is you won't know when to stop saging. And it seems, to me, energy works the best. My energy abilities work the best.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to be egotistical because it's a one-shot deal, but the sage...
My pets or anything, the negative energies, I have my cats and stuff. You think so? Because I had one cat that just recently passed away a week ago,
Well, the negative energy definitely impacts the animals. They obviously won't have the exact same response that we do. They're not going to get into arguments with you, but they'll just act strange. They won't be able to sleep right. They may look at things in the air. Something is wrong. That's what you know. But, it's my recommendation because of the extremely high level of negative energy. Just get it taken care of, and chances are it'll take years to come back. I offer protection as well, and it's kind of hard to explain, but I definitely work with guardians from the galactic side who come down and actually...
I know the galactic stuff. I'm very connected to the Pleiadians, and I totally get all that. I got like everything you were saying on the video show because I totally connect to that, and all the information is really cool and awesome. So I totally get it, and I know my Pleiadian connections and the star people, and I'm totally there. Yeah. So what should I do? Should I go to your webpage and do a home cleaning? But in the meanwhile, what can I do right now to kind of help protect my house? I mean, like, what do is it like energy from people that were at my house before that's baggage, or just energy around my whole neighborhood?
It's negative energy, so it's raw negative energy. There's no guarantee. I can't say where it came in from, but a lot of it's human brought in by frequency. If there's a lot of negative energy swelled up in the neighborhoods, it's going to be law of attraction, and like will attract like, and it's going to make its way to your home. Without doing a clearing, I don't have the best advice for you, just because it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. What I was going to say on air, Andrew, if you're listening, I wanted to relay to people, and you included, ma'am, crystals. Go to a New Age crystal store, crystal bookstore, and ask them what crystals can I use for protecting the home. The problem that's going to happen is you already have the negative energy there. This is only really effective once it's been cleared out. That way you start as a clean slate. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I'm thinking about actually moving, probably by midsummer, then summer, just same location, but it's just a different area, better neighborhood.
So this is another issue. The energy, this isn't about a physical structure. If you've ever heard reports online that, they're tearing the house down, they're going to rebuild because of bad things that have been going on, well, those bad things don't go away just because you rip the house down and rebuild. The energy is still present. Energy can follow you around too. It can get, your chakras aren't 100% functional, so the negative energy is attaching itself to you and can follow you around. I mean, that's how it gets around. So, I mean, I'm not telling you what to do, but you guys are calling for honesty, and that's what I'm giving back. I do recommend you have an energy clearing.
And I'll go to your website. And I'm actually looking on your website right now. I'm do like a home cleaning. Okay, that'd be great.
Terrific. Yeah. Hope to hear from you. Thank you very much for calling.
Well, thank you. Okay, bye.
You're welcome.
Thank you for calling in. Take care now. Bye-bye. All right, that last caller is actually no longer on the board, so we are at this moment out of callers. So we're going to finish the show, I guess, carrying on talking about general paranormal and metaphysical stuff. About chakra healing, does it make sense, Daniel, to buy a chakra necklace or a chakra bracelet from like metaphysical stores, which basically have different gemstones of the 7 colors of the rainbow representing the 7 chakras, and wearing that, and some would say the size of the gemstones doesn't matter because, well, in infinite consciousness, size is irrelevant, so you shouldn't look at it that way. You can, if you believe the small ones can do well, they can do well. Chakra necklaces and chakra bracelets, and which kind? Does it make sense to buy the expensive kind, or can you save some money and not go nuts on that?
I don't get huge into the crystals. I mean, I recommend them, but it's going to be based on what resonates to you. I mean, I know people that make and sell them, and they're successful, but I don't know anybody who's personally using them and can say, I feel phenomenal wearing that. Again, if your chakras are energy blocked, it's going to be really difficult for you to just unleash them and reactivate them and get them up and spinning again on your own, even with the use of crystals. Once you've been cleared, aligned, and balanced through like what I do, then you could put your crystals on and say, hey, yeah, I've been feeling great. I mean, it's all going to come down to each person's preference. And I'm not against them, but I definitely don't just assume that they're all the same. Definitely get recommendations. Go to the people that make the stuff and see what resonates with you. Pick. If you're not getting an energy buzz from this stuff, it's probably not that effective. Because, I mean, some of the stuff is fake. You're going to have to use your brain and say, go to people that already have this stuff and see where they got it from and go from there.
Okay. You wanted to say something?
I was just going to recommend a couple of things for grounding for crystals. I mean, I use this personally. It's called hematite. It's amazing. It's made from iron. If you're feeling extra jittery or you have too much energy, you don't know what to do with, get this stuff. I mean, check it out. You're going to want some sort of grounding crystal, and this stuff is phenomenal. I mean, it works for me, and obviously from what I do, I have a ton of energy on me all the time. And I also want to relate, if you have joint pain, this stuff has worked phenomenal, kyanite. It's crazy. I mean, a brief story about me and kyanite. I'd forgotten I bought the crystal a long time ago, and we had moved, and I have bad knees from that car accident that I explained earlier. And I had gone through a relocation, and, I had this stuff in my pocket, and usually when my knees hurt from going up and down stairs, having this stuff in my pocket, I didn't have any pain, 0. And it's crazy. I mean, because when you have the actual experience, you can vouch for it. So check out kyanite, and it has different properties as well, but one of the major things is joint pain. There are certain properties that get into your energy field that definitely you feel wonderful and remove what you don't need to have on you to begin with. So.
Thank you very much. And I have someone here in the chat room. username Soul11 asks chat room connections for scanning. This person is all the way on the other side of the world in India, so definitely wouldn't want to make a phone call. It's going to cost a fortune to get on the show here. So can you do a chat room connection for a scanning, chakra scanning with this person?
Yeah, that's fine.
Username is Soul11.
Soul11's asking for a chakra scan. Is that what I heard?
Yes.
Soul11, sure. It's all frequency. I don't need voice contact or anything. So
exactly.
Soul11, crown chakra is spinning and strong. Third eye is strong. Throat chakra is strong. Heart chakra is energy blocked. Solar plexus is energy blocked. Sacral energy blocked. Sacral and root is also energy blocked. So you got a lot of issues. Ask if she needs or he needs a home check, a home clearing check, scan. Still out there, Andrew?
So sorry, I was on mute. I didn't realize I was on mute there. Yeah, she can hear you. She's in the chat room, so she'll give a response to that momentarily. But while I'm waiting, I've always made a resolution that I'll never ask any of my guests for any sort of a psychic reading on me or any sort of a channeling on me during the show, and you definitely don't do one here. But but I'm thinking about if you were to do the house that I'm in, what would you find? I mean, I got crystals and gemstones and Himalayan salt lamps and healing rods around here, but there's actually two churches on each side of my property and a big cathedral less than a mile away, and I'm thinking the negative energies from Christianity, religion suppressed consciousness, I got a bad feeling that maybe those energies would be in my house. So, hey, you don't have to do it on the air here, but if you ever want it in your free time looking for someone to channel, maybe do my property, and maybe you could confirm my suspicions if the...
Just out of curiosity, how do you feel right now?
How do I feel right now? How
does the energy in the house feel?
It feels all right, and I'm going to tell you, over the course of the past year or so, I don't have negative thoughts which cause me to talk to myself about negative things that really grind my gears, to pardon a Family Guy Peter Griffin expression. But that's cut down over the course of time, and I think it's going to keep cutting down as the energy increases, and I keep doing things to get in tune with nature and all the rest of it. And I'm sure the chakra clearing that you gave me is going to help too. So I'm feeling better.
Just an FYI, I actually remote scanned your property, your home's energy, before we did the show today, and I found a lot of problems, and I went ahead and cleared it. So you're actually going to feel different over the next 24 hours. I actually detected approximately 80 negative energies, which could have been gotten to you from any particular reason. But if you do a lot of live callers, it can transfer. It's frequency-based, so it can transfer that way as well. Just an FYI.
Okay, I live in the garage apartment on the property, not the whole entire. There's a property.
Doesn't matter.
Big house.
I go with wherever your conscious energy is. So it doesn't. I don't know anything about you personally, but I always set the intention to go wherever the energy is most consciousness for what you consider home. That's where it goes.
Oh, thank you very much. So I do have my hunches, but I'm not going to get on that on this show because this show's not about me. It's about other things.
No worries.
I think we'll continue here with some of the things that you discussed as potential talking points.
I have a couple of stories. If you want me to share a couple more stories.
By all means, you got 60 minutes and 20 seconds before the live feed is up.
All right, I'll do this very quick. I've got two stories, but we can cut at one if needed. So I live in Arizona. I live in Phoenix, and I have friends out in the Superstition Mountain Range area. That's Apache Junction, if you need to look it up. So I was invited there by a group of people, and one of the people in the circle was a psychic channel. He's no longer with us. He passed away. And if anybody knows me or him, you know who I'm talking about, but we don't have to get into that. So anyway, we're in a cactus farm at night outside a person's home, and he's a psychic channel, and he wanted to experiment channeling in reptilians and other things that are quote-unquote rumors that are out in that area. So he starts doing his thing, and they put me in the center of the circle. There's, 5 or 6 people around me. And I was a little skeptical about what he was doing, but it turned into reality really quickly. He starts talking and telling people who he is. And the reality is he shape-shifted right in front of me. My friend John typically had he was clean-shaved. As this entity came through him, his face changed to a full beard. And that was just a mind-boggling experience. And it got a little more insane than that. At the same time that happened, he was actually talking directly to me, and I was talking back. And I'm talking to whatever entity was coming through. And the weird thing is, something happened to me internally, and my ears started to pop again. Similar to what happened earlier, what I described. A tightness in my ears. There was some sort of tone. I noticed that the stars that were right above our head disappeared and went to a black. The people around me disappeared. Couldn't find them. And the housing and the residential lights behind me disappeared. My friend John, though, stayed right in front of me. And then the other thing that happened that really kind of freaked me out is I lost my footing. And I couldn't find the ground. Even though the only thing I could visually see was my friend, everything else disappeared. And then about, a second or two later, everything came back. And the strange part is not a lot of people remember what happened during that time frame. It was really strange. So I don't know if I went on board something or, it was just the attributes pointing to something happened, but we couldn't put our finger on what. And I thought it was strange that the people that were there couldn't really account for me being there or not being there. That was just a story. Second story, if we still have a couple minutes.
Before you tell that story, Soul 11 would like a house scanning, so please
sure,
let's
do
that.
It. Soul 11, negative energy check for the home's consciousness. Negative energy does exist. We have at least 10, 20, 30, 40, and it's shutting down, 30. Yeah, you're in the 30 to 40 range, and you're completely safe. So don't sweat that. I guess things could happen over time, but I'm not expecting anything major to happen rapidly. So negative energy for the home is clear.
Okay. If you want to tell anything else to Soul 11, please do. But I got another user in the chat room. Cosmos is the username. Could you please scan my chakras? Thank you. So before you tell your second story, that help that person.
Sure.
Please.
Not a problem, Cosmos. Let's scan your chakras. Crown chakra is weak, actually. It's spinning weak. Third eye is strong. Throat chakra is strong. Heart chakra is strong. Solar plexus is strong. Sacral is it's a little bit weak. And the root chakra is spinning strong. So a couple of them a little bit off, but mostly pretty good to go. Does Cosmos want a home energy check?
He or she will answer that momentarily. So I guess tell your second story, and then as soon as you're done, we'll. There's 11 minutes and 55 seconds on the live feed, just so you know.
Okay, understood. We'll wrap this up real quick. Okay, so same location, not the same time frame. Back out in the Superstition Mountain Range, another group of people. This was in the earlier part of the year, maybe about this time of the year. It was about 60 degrees at night, and I was talking to a group of people out in we're not near the home, but we're out in the sticks a little bit. And I started to hear toning in my right ear, and I don't always understand what toning means. So this particular occasion, I decided to go in the direction that I heard the tones. And I walked probably 30 or 40 paces to the right. I stopped at a dirt intersection. I had another lady accompany me. She was just curious. And I didn't know what I was walking into, so to speak. Out of nowhere, I felt some sort of hot blowing on me, and then it would turn off, and then it would turn back on, and then off, and this routine continued. And then I was trying to figure out what in the world was going on, and then I realized something was breathing on me. And because it really felt like hot air on and off, like somebody's breathing. And I closed my eyes, and I was like, holy smokes. I saw a creature that had to have been about 10 feet tall, and it was more like a crab or an ant type of creature, so it was multi-legs. And it was just standing there, no hostility or anything like that, just kind of hanging out. And it was kind of humorous because another person had walked over as well and asked, why is it so hot over here? So it was just another validation of something was creating some communication. So when there is, there's more than just, what's the best way to put this? There are extraterrestrial life all over the place, but it's not what you're expecting. So people need to be a little open-minded with that sort of thing. And that's it for that story.
All right, so Cosmos is home property chakra reading.
Okay. Chakra or just the negative energy scan?
Yeah, the chakra. Yeah.
Didn't we just do the chakra for Cosmos?
For that person, but not their property.
Oh, the property. Okay. Well, this isn't chakras, so this is just this is a number scan to pick up on negative energy for the property. For Cosmos, it does exist.
Oh, that's what I meant.
Okay, not a worries. I got it. So we got at least 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 70, 70, 60, 62, 64, 66, 68, 66 negative energies. Again, these are not people, these aren't spirits, they're not ghosts, they're just raw negative energies. But once they lean on the aura of people and animals and pets, chaotic stuff can happen, increasing the fight intensity, or if, I didn't say this before, if you live by yourself and you don't have anybody to fight with, you can actually pick up signs of depression and like mental illness, but it'll basically return to normal once you step outside the energy of the property. When you come back in, within a certain amount of time, you'll start feeling this again, and that's all it is. Recommendation is to have it cleared out, and you will feel different within about a day. That's it.
Well, I hope that helps out. And, okay, we got a little over 8 minutes left before the live feed is up. So, question about bringing negative energy into your house. This is very... something a lot of my friends in the American Patriot community would be interested in hearing, because I've always said, if you want to, should you or should you not own a gun? Americans are very proud of the right to bear arms, and some people like David Icke say, I don't see myself using a gun even if my life depended on it, because I don't believe in using violence to escalate violence. But some people do not think that's a good way of looking at it, so they get a gun for self-defense purposes to prevent themselves from things like tyranny and gang violence. Well, one could make the argument, if you bring a gun into a house that has no negative energy, by bringing that gun in, you have brought in negative energy, but some would think that's ridiculous. If you're only going to use the gun for self-defense purposes, why would you be bringing in negative energy? Well, guns, some say, that has some sort of negative quality to it, no matter, even if you're a good guy's using it. So just out of curiosity, would you bring in a negative energy when you bring a gun into your property for self-defense, or does it depend on the intent for which you intend to use that gun?
That is not so simple to answer.
Okay.
My understanding, I don't own a gun. I mean, I have energy protecting me and all this and that. But for general people, that's not something I can just straight up answer. That sounds like a loaded question. There's going to be pros and cons to that sort of a thing. If the gun was already used, you already have negative energy on it. If the gun's brand new, then no, you're completely clear. It's no different than a lamppost. But if it's been used, fired at a person, not necessarily at target range, but there is a emotional reaction that does go with shooting a gun. I've fired guns in my past as well, and there's definitely a boost effect emotionally. So I'm not going to say it's the greatest thing to have, but it's going to be a preference thing. So it can go either way, and it can change on the fly.
Okay, fair enough. And even if you did say that it would definitely bring in negative energy, I do not want all my fellow American patriots taking that as a sign that you should throw away your guns just because Daniel Teague said that. That would be ridiculous. That would be what some tyrants would want us to do. So, no, that's not going to happen. So, but moving on, out of curiosity, Vega Star Healings, that's the name of your site, Vega, that would... I believe there is life on that star system. Maybe the movie Contact was truth under the guise of fiction in more ways than one. So can you comment on that, on that or any other ET life that you are familiar with in the remaining 5 minutes and 20 seconds we have on the live feed?
That's another long one. I mean, you're going to need an entire show for that. There is definitely life out there, but most of it's invisible. I do believe there's a cover-up, and they don't want you to know the truth. The reality is a lot of the negative things that are going on are ET-based, and they're actually hidden within within a human themselves. There's I don't want to get into it, but there's a lot of negative things going on. Reptilians are real, but they're not taking shape of a lizard. We don't have lizards walking around. They're already within people. I've worked fairs, like psychic fairs and holistic fairs, and I've had people come to me, and they go through a metamorphosis when they don't get their way. So when they ask to do something to me or they want something from me, I tell them no, they'll completely throw an internal temper tantrum. And this is the strangest one yet. I actually watched a woman's eyes go from brown to midnight black. And I wasn't by myself. The other person saw it as well. We both looked at each other like, what in the world? And, demon possession is real. ET, negative demon possession. A demon is something the church calls an ET. That's what they use, a demon. They don't acknowledge the word ET. A demon is a negative ET. But a lot of this possession stuff is real. It's happening, and it starts, FYI, with cords as a hint. So make sure you get your cords cut. So if you have a really negative thing attached to you, you want to get rid of it as fast as possible because it can turn into some ugly stuff, and it's not easy to get rid of that when it gets to a possessed level. But when I saw the lady's eyes go from brown to black, I knew we had a serious problem. So if she's present, then there's probably millions of these things around. They're just not all taking shape right away. But, we're in a major energy shift right now, and it's not going to get any easier right away. We have to discover who's good and who's bad and then deal with it.
Right. And
some of that question.
One final thing before we call it a show, getting back to cord cutting, I'm going to have a little fun with this. Some people would say, I don't need to ask Daniel Teague to give me a cord cutting. I can just ask Archangel Michael to give me a cord cutting. Now, I don't want to create a conflict or war between you and Archangel Michael or anything like that, but just for being a pitchman purpose, why should people take you instead of Archangel Michael?
Well, I tell everybody, you have free will. You can do whatever you want.
Well,
but
okay.
If you didn't feel that there was a burst of release, if you didn't feel that within 24 hours you felt totally detoxed and different, if you don't feel protected, if the same person, like I said before, the symptom was you keep thinking of a person that you don't ever want to think of. If that's not stopping, it didn't work. I can I'm not going to guarantee it 100%, but once I cut cords, I set up protection, the light warriors come in. And even if you're in contact, you can be married to the person that's courting you. It'll stop. All the attributes that go with this will settle and stop. It can cause problems, don't get me wrong. You may hear from people once cut, and people out there that have had this done to me can validate this. Once I cut the cord, you may hear from that person, but the kicker is they won't even know why they're calling you. They just will feel disconnected from you, and that's key words. So I offer protection as well. I haven't had anybody basically say it didn't work. Everybody just says it's amazing. But don't take my word on it. Look at the testimonial proof that's on the website.
By all means, do your research. And Daniel, I have no doubt that you're good. You seem to be good on me, so with that stuff. And I have no doubt the energies will be clearing up in my home. Thank you for clearing that. I guess that was one of the nicest things anybody's ever done for me in a long time. I appreciate it. And, this show's going to come to a close now. Got only a minute and 5 seconds left until the live feed is up. So I'll bring this show to an end, and I'll do it. This is the most emotional part of every single show. And tell this to all my guests, even though it's very emotional. Daniel, I loved having you on. You are a fascinating individual, and I will make sure that I do hope that this interview, a lot of people will get to hear, and a lot of people will be contacting you for assistance to help raise their consciousness and heal and all the rest of it. Now, if you ever want to come on my show again, by all means, give me a buzz, and I can certainly give you like an hour special or something on a non-Wednesday date. But to be honest with you, Daniel, ever since I first started doing this show, I've always had a mission of sorts, a mission to try to get as many different guests on my show as possible before I give any one specific guest double dips. Because I feel that like getting as many different guests on as possible is the fairest, most impartial, and most informative way of doing a show that seeks to expose the true and false nature of reality. So while that does mean that I will not probably be contacting you or any of my other previous guests to come on a second time because I want to keep calling new people, you by all means are definitely allowed to, can contact me again and say, well, I'd like to do an hour special to talk about so-and-so, and then I can definitely do that for you. But I got a lot of other fascinating individuals to contact, and I definitely need to get to that because my list is kind of run out after next week of a list of guests to contact. So I promised Daniel to make sure that this interview gets spread far and wide. I will upload it to YouTube and put it on social media networks. Call me anytime if you ever want to come on my show again, and I hope that this makes you more of a household name when people listen to this.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much. Take care now. Namaste. Later. Okay, folks. This show is over. Next week, I will not be doing a live show. I will be doing a pre-record with hopefully he'll be able to contact me, Dr. Joel Wallach. Tried to get him on way back in the day many times for my show, but every time something came up that he couldn't come on, well, I'm trying again. They say you can do a pre-record with me in the late morning, early afternoon hours next Wednesday. And then I'll probably air the show maybe on Thursday or Friday of that week on Blog Talk. So then I got to get to, well, actually before that show, I got to get to contacting a lot of people. I got some folks in mind, like maybe the secret space conferences from the past years and also some Australian UFO network. I can contact them and people that appeared on In5D Radio, of course. I got a whole slew of people to contact, and I'll be reaching them. So a lot more guests coming in the near future, a lot of new guests for sure, and and also, like I said, I'm going to Arizona this weekend to try the peyote ceremony again during the spring equinox. This time I'll go on the speed limit on the freeway so a jackass cop don't have to prevent me from going where I have to go because he don't understand what the laws say and who the laws apply to. I'm not going to get into that again. That's a long story. But that's the end of this show. Joel Wallach next week sometime. Namaste. This is Andrew Fisher signing off from Nature Reality Radio. Enjoy the rest of your trek to infinite consciousness.